not. Oh, that's the good stuff. And then we get to choose who we let into our weird little worlds. You're not perfect, sport. And let me save you the suspense. This girl you met, she isn't perfect either. But the question is whether or not you're perfect for each other. That's the whole deal. That's what intimacy is all about.
Why don't you love me, Jenny? I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Hey, out.
What easy way? There is no easy way. No matter what I do, somebody gets hurt.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
I keep coming back to you. Ooh, I keep coming back. You put me through hell, but I just can't stay mad at you. Know me so well, but you don't even have a clue that I'm the one that cares the most tonight.
That's okay. Wow, I am excited, first of all, because so far nothing has gone wrong. That makes me happy. All right. Thank you for tuning in this evening, folks. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. So I hope you're ready. Hello, I'm Gabriel,
Hi, and I'm Yvette Richardson,
and welcome to the Unwrap Love Show.
where we pull back the layers of love and relationships.
So
Buckle up for love, everyone.
There we go. We're getting there. Hello, James, Mr. Jim Kunkel. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you, sir. So tonight, our topic that we're going to talk about, one is, I think, where we've kind of gone with our progression and how we've been talking about the process of love and everything else. In this episode, we're going to be discussing, is it time to move from dating to an exclusive relationship? Yes, and again, feeling the spark with someone special, but unsure if it is time to go exclusive. You're not alone. Navigating the casual to commitment transition can be tricky. We're kind of proof of it right now. Um, and you've been seeing somebody for a while, right? Let me go to my slide. There we go. We're here. We're on a slide here. I don't know. Okay. You've been seeing someone for. Oh, I can actually go in here. Here we go. We're ready to start. There we go.
Yes.
Okay, James. Let me take it off. Forgot I had it set to automatic where it was supposed to pull out. Okay. Here we go. You've been seeing someone for a while and it's going great. So you think maybe it's time for the next step, an exclusive relationship, right? The meaning of exclusive relationship can be different depending on who you ask, though. So it's important to clarify it to the significant other, what your plans are, or feelings might get hurt. And hello, Mr. Matthews over in LinkedIn land. Thank you for tuning in. So pretty much when you start getting into the idea of having an exclusive relationship, we're going to go over a few things like you have to really consider before making that jump, because you're moving pretty quickly sometimes. I'm talking just from experience. We went from talking to each other to getting to know each other to then getting into a committed relationship and choosing to be exclusive. I know I jumped like really fast, but I just felt this way about this woman. Like, I asked her to be my girlfriend before we had talked, we had FaceTime, but before we even actually met in person. And the best part, the craziest part, she said yes. Come on, I couldn't help myself. I was in love. So, that was the hard part about what we were going through. And hello to Yolanda and Angelique. Thank you guys for tuning in. So yeah, when I made the decision, and it was a decision between the both of us, there were a lot of things that I had to take into account. And, we'll start going into those.
Yes. 1, 2.
Okay,
The next slide.
let's go to the next slide. Okay.
All right. So, how do I know when I am ready? So, I think a lot of people have that question on their mind when they start talking to somebody and they've gone on 1 date or 2 dates or 3 dates. And it's like, when do you decide? How do you know that you're ready to become exclusive? And so there's some different things to know whether or not you're ready. One, self-reflect. Okay, so it's big to self-reflect and decide, is this something that you want to do because you're desiring it? Is it your decision? Are you feeling like this is the person that you want to be with because of that compatibility, because of those values, because of, the things that you really like about this person? Make sure it's not pressure. Okay. So if you feel pressured by, maybe somebody around you that's like, okay, well, when are they going to get you that ring? When are they going to propose? When are they, going to do this? And you feel like this pressure from other people, or even pressure, maybe even from the person you're talking to. So if you feel like there's a little bit of pressure, but you're not ready, then, you've got to self reflect to see, is it outside pressure or is it something that you truly want? Second, when it comes to emotional baggage. Okay, so
Yeah, that's a big
Emo
one.
you gotta check your past, okay? So, are you, and this is kind of like a sign that maybe you haven't let go, if you're talking to this person and all of a sudden you're talking to them and, I don't know, you start thinking, "Oh, they're reminding me of my ex," or
Ooh.
they're doing something that, my ex used to do, or what if they do this because my ex used to do that, and you start comparing them or thinking too much about your ex, or you start missing your ex, you're probably not ready to move on. So you've got some emotional baggage there. So don't jump into that relationship and become exclusive if you haven't let go of your past yet. So you have to let go of your past.
Yeah, again, that's one where a lot of people get hung up on before they decide to move over, because you jump into those things and man, you're just heading for a train wreck if you just bypass that one. That is huge in my book.
Yes, yes. Compatibility. So if your values align, the most important thing. So these are the things that are deal breakers if they don't align. So your values, the things that are most important to you in your life, if that's aligning and your lifestyle is aligning, the things that you like to do. For example, if you like to go out and dance, or you like to paint, or you like to go to plays, if these are the things that you like and they also like to join you on them, your lifestyles start to align. And then some of your goals. Maybe you have a goal to accomplish something and you find that they're encouraging your goals. Or maybe they share a similar ambition or goal. If these things are aligning, then maybe that's an indication that this is the person that you want to become exclusive with. And then one of the last things that you take a look at is your communication. Okay, so are you openly discussing your expectations and your long-term goals with your partner?
Ooh.
Because what is it that you want? What do they want? And do those things align? Because for example, if you want to get married in the future and you haven't even talked to your person about that, you haven't even brought up marriage, and then you might want to get married, but they don't. And you don't even bring it up or even talk about it. You haven't communicated that. And then you decide to be exclusive. And then they tell you later on they don't want to get married. Then you're stuck in a situation where, should I stay with this person or not? I've already invested my time, my heart, and it's really hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
So you've got to express those at first. Because I remember when me and Gabe first started talking, he told me, yeah, so how do you feel about getting married in the future? Is that something that you're looking at? What are your ideas on that? And so we openly talked about that. That was before we even met in person.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, "Well, I don't know if I will or not." I said it will really take the right person coming into my life before I decide to get married again. But if that person is the right person for me, then yes, I'd be willing to get married again because I had been married once. So, I said it would have to be the right person. If it's not, no, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
and
get married.
well, there's things like too, baby. Like when you talk to someone, and I ran into this a few times. Is like, so you meet on dating apps, and it's somebody younger, right? You've run into they might be 5 or 10 years difference, and that individual might want to have a baby, and you're like, I'm at this point where I don't want any, right? That's a huge roadblock. I mean, you get to a point of saying, look, this is something that I'm not even considering, right? And if you don't clarify that very early on and make that sure that that's a big sticking point, you're headed for trouble because at some point this is going to be an issue in that relationship.
Yeah, and any long-term goals, whether it's marriage, children, if you want to go back to school. I mean, a long-term goal about education. Some people don't want to be with someone that's in school for whatever reason. So, whatever long-term goals you have, if maybe one day you don't want to live in Texas anymore, that's where we live. So you decide, you're thinking in your mind, well, one day when I retire, I want to move to Florida. And so if that person that you're with, they don't want to move, they want to stay in Texas, and you never discuss that, that's going to be an issue that comes up in the future. So it's real important to discuss all of your long-term goals, what you want, your values, everything before you decide that you are ready to be exclusive with that person.
And man, a lot of these things, this is the moment you sit down with yourself um, before you go and have these things, which we're going to talk about next, which is gauge their signals. Right? This is a big one because we just talked about this. You're looking at it. The one thing that you're not going to be able to get back. I always talk about it is in time. Is time. So you're going to be investing time and effort. Do they prioritize? Excuse me. Do they prioritize time with you and consistently make an effort? I mean, if you're someone who's very active, right, and this person has slowly started to wane off, and like in the beginning they were super excited, the first couple months, first 6 months, 7 months, you guys have been on dates. They've been active. They were actively like being part of it. And in the last 3 or 4, let's just say you're like, I don't know, that things have changed. They're slowly starting to pull away. Like you got to really think about like, do I want to invest more time and effort into doing this? Because that person is probably showing a signal that maybe something inside of them is shifting. They're not digging the same vibe in the very beginning. So um, that's one of them. And then initiating intimacy. Do they express physical and emotional intimacy in ways that suggest commitment? So does somebody feel like, they're meeting your love languages. They love touching. They're spending time with you. They look to spend time with you. That they get close to you. You guys have very deep introspective conversations together. You guys love spending the time together just on the couch. Um, I mean, intimacy sometimes crosses into the barrier of sexual relations. I mean, all that depends. And does it speak to them saying that like this is going to be something they want to really do for the long run? Like, does this suggest it saying, hey, they want to commit to me, their heart, their mind, their soul? So that's a big one as far as one you're talking about initiating intimacy. And then here's another one. Here's another sticking point that I've heard plenty of times that you know people have made mention of it, but that's meeting friends and family. In our situation, it took me literally my first weekend it was like our third date together, which we did a Friday date, a Saturday date, and then a Sunday date. And it didn't take much longer than the third date on Sunday for me to meet her family. So that kind of just showed me that yeah, she had a really deep interest in me, and that we excuse me, that moving forward, I knew that like, man, she's real willing to put a lot on the line to do this. And then even, I mean, briefly, but like I got to meet her kid like within the first weekend. Like that was like that showed me, man, this woman is something else. I mean, I knew the moment I saw her, like, but I knew this just kind of reiterated how I felt and everything else. So I knew, and meeting friends and family, you introduce people, you make sure, like if you have a close friendship, a close circle of friends, and you've been dating this person for 10 months and they haven't yet introduced you to them, there's probably a problem there. And you should really think about, man, if this individual doesn't feel this way about me enough to like introduce me to them, to their friends or to their loved ones, man, what is it going to take? Like, where do you find yourself? I mean, don't you think that's crazy?
Yeah, yeah, and the second date we went on, he actually came to my school.
Oh, yeah.
So, he was at my school, he got to meet some of my friends, coworkers, and then also some of my students, and that was the second day. And then the third day, he met my friends at church, and I remember introducing him to my friend Carol. I was like, "Hi, Carol." I said, "This is my boyfriend, Gabe," and she's like, "Boyfriend?" Like, where did he come from? Because you didn't have a boyfriend last week. So I was like, yeah, it's kind of new. So, but she didn't know, that was the first introduction because we actually we were in a relationship on our first or second date.
First date. It was,
No, second date. It was our second
no,
date.
we did it that night.
No. Oh yeah, it was that night. Well,
It was our first date. Like,
no, it was their second date. Because it was the second day after we went to my school, and then we went to,
no,
Du Bois. We went to Du Bois, and we did it that night. It was
no, we did it
wasn't
the
it?
night. No, we did it the night on the balcony. Like we were there that
I
night.
remember doing it at Du Bois.
Maybe I could have swore
No,
like that.
because when we posted it, it was April 1st, and I was like, everyone's gonna think that it was
So-
an April Fool's joke.
oh, okay. Well, maybe that would. Yeah.
It
Oh,
was.
yeah. That's right. We talked about it though
Yeah,
that
we
night.
talked about it. We confirmed it, but we didn't post it
We
on
didn't
on
post it on
social
social
media
till the next day.
till the next
Okay.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's right. Oh, guys, piece of advice. Piece of advice. Take a pen. Rather than get a piece of paper down. She's right. Write that down. It's 2 words. It'll save you a lot of headache and heartache. Just kidding. No. You can speak your piece. Remember, she's right. Okay, and she is right. Okay, and then the last is talking about the future. Like when you guys have deep conversations, does this person make mention of like, you know, we can take trips and down the road. I see us spending our golden years together, or maybe next summer we can go on a vacation spot. I mean, do they make mention of saying that this is going to be something that they're going to see themselves investing the time and effort to going into the long run? So, like, if they're making those kind of suggestions, if they're laying those subtle hints that you hear, there's probably an idea in the back of their mind that, yeah, you know what, this is going to be a long term thing. I really think this is going to work out for me. So yeah, they'll be excited to share that. So I mean, we talked about it. It was good between the two of us and making mention of like, man, I can't imagine what it's like when we're going to be without our kids. I mean, I was I was making a lot of jumps and mentions there. So
Yeah, I saw that comment. I read that when you just put it up there from Sarah. Normally, yeah, it would be like one of the guys I dated. It was probably over a year before I let him meet my daughter, because I wasn't confident and sure that I was going to spend my future with him. With Gabe, there was something different about him, and it was weird. But I was like, okay. It happened because her dad brought her home early, and I had to run out to go get my umbrella, and he had it in the car, and I had her with me, and so I went back out to get it, and he was there, and so she saw him, but she didn't know who he was. So we didn't introduce him as somebody
I was just
more.
mommy's friend.
Yeah, mommy's friend at first. But then, eventually I was like more comfortable with it. Well, I mean, I was comfortable with it, but we talked about it, him being my boyfriend later on. And then with his children, it was a little bit longer,
Yeah,
not much longer.
a couple weeks. But that was simply a fact that uh, in some co-parenting relationships, like the one I was in, my ex was actually open enough to want to meet my new girlfriend. I mean, that was kind of cool that she said, "Hey, can I meet her first?
Mhm.
And then we'll go from there." So we went, had a meet and greet. We all sat down, we all talked, had a few drinks, laughed, good meal, and then that was that. We moved forward from there, and then it's been so it's been so easy ever since.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very easy. And I got along with her fine. Like we talked. She voiced her concerns and we just discussed them and everything was great. And so I was gonna give the same opportunity to my daughter's father, and he was fine with not meeting him first. So I was like, okay. And I said, well, eventually you'll meet him. And so he has. And since then, they get along fine.
Yeah, we
And
talk.
yeah, so it's no problem. And so that's what's the beauty in being able to co-parent and get along with both sides. Like
Yeah,
it,
and
it makes it a lot nicer.
perfectly right. That's good because everyone knows who will be in their kids' lives, and that's
Yes.
important, right? But these are the things you talk about, right? These are the
Mhm.
things you have to discuss before you decide. Let me jump into something and pull back the curtain and let my kids or let my friends or my family meet this person. I mean, these are big things that you should really have a discussion about because if you don't, um, later on down the line, there might be animosity. There might be things that pull up, and that makes it harder for you to find a good rhythm with dealing sometimes with your past and your present. So that's just my how I felt like it was gonna work out for us, and it has, and it hasn't been an issue since.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. Hi, Rachel.
hey,
Thanks for the shout out.
all right. So let's move on to the next.
All right, so here we go, having the conversation. All right, and then also just a note, all of the photos in today's presentation are actually photos that I have taken when I was doing photography, mostly full time. I did a lot of couple photos, and so
She's good.
yeah, so we went through some and put some in today's slideshow
Well, I was thinking like,
presentation.
why am I using stock photos when she's got she's got
I've
a
got a whole website full of pictures. So yeah, we just pulled some off real quick and added them in. So having the conversation. So first of all, okay, before you even choose the right setting and you've made sure you're ready for it, I think one of the things that you got to decide is who's going to bring it up first. Because sometimes like the girl is like, well, I'm not going to say anything yet because it's the guy's job to bring it up. And she might just be like waiting and waiting and waiting and never say anything and just kind of wait for the guy to say it. When is it okay for the girl to step up and say something? And then the guy, he might be maybe not sure if she's ready. And so he might be getting mixed signals or, for whatever reason, he's not bringing it up. And so sometimes you're at a stalemate because you don't know who is going to bring it up first. So I think you have to be comfortable at that point. And, if you're not that comfortable in conversating and bringing it up and talking about it, there's something going on.
yeah.
Like that's the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. So it should be easy.
Well,
It should be an easy
you
conversation to
think
have.
you think
Supposed to be.
supposed to be. I had a
Supposed to be
conversation.
easy.
I had a conversation with somebody, and we were dating, and I got to that point where like, so I want to talk about like, are we? Because we dated for a while, and I felt like comfortable, and we were already like hanging out a lot with each other. We've had a lot of conversations, and the whole like being together all the time was what we were doing. So I was like asking, so are we exclusive? And she says, I think so. Like, man, I was like, wait a minute. I think so. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, yeah, like I really, that's the thought. Like, that's the thing. The thought bubble over my head came over, said WTF. Like, I thought to myself, because again, we were spending all our times together. We again investing all our time and effort, and you figure that's the case, right? That's why like you got to choose. It should be it should be an easy conversation. I'm just saying it's not always that way.
Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah, and what I liked about how we led into exclusivity between the two of us was when Gabe initially brought up, he's like, okay, I have to be honest with you. And I'm like, okay, what is he?
Oh,
Why does he need to be honest about what? Like, what's going on here? So I kept reading, and he was like, okay, so I was talking to a couple other women while I was talking to you, but I've decided that you have all of the qualities I'm looking for. So, I told them in a nice way that, it was great getting to know them, but I've found somebody that I want to focus on, and I wish you the best. And so when he told me that, I was in shock. I was like, wow, he's being open and honest about the fact that he was talking to other people and that he wanted to focus on me. And so that made me feel more confident and secure that this guy was not just leading me on. He wasn't just love bombing me. He was being sincere. And so it made me feel like I could trust him so much more when he was open about that. And so that kind of led into, whether or not we wanted to be exclusive. But having that pre-conversation before, discussing if we were going to be boyfriend girlfriend, I thought it was still cute that, you can say that in your 40s.
yeah,
But
right.
yeah, so being open and honest about that is a good thing too. And whether or not the female says it first or the male says it first, I don't think it matters. But telling that person how you feel, being open and communicative about it is going to help you. So then if you are, wanting to find a place to have this conversation, then make sure that you're like talking hopefully face to face in a quiet, intimate, private place, somewhere where you can just, open up and be yourself and talk about it and say, hey, like, I'd like to have a conversation of being exclusive. And just start with I really want to talk to you about some things. Like one, start with appreciation. So start telling them everything that you value about your relationship. What is it that you like the most? What do you like that he's doing right, that she's doing right? Be open about that and, thank them for everything that they've done and their presence in your life and how important they mean to you. So you start with appreciating who they are as a person. And then you open up about your feelings. You honestly communicate your desire to be exclusive with them. Don't beat around the bush and be like, not really come forward with what you want and you're waiting for them to say it. If it's the girl taking the lead in this, don't be afraid. I mean, the worst thing they can do is say, no, I don't want to. Okay. And then at that point, then you respect their decision, you accept it. And, even if it's not what you hoped, everybody's allowed to feel a certain way. So, sharing your feelings and openly communicating why you would like to be exclusive is very important. Also, when you're asking questions, try to stay away from yes or no questions, but ask open ended questions. Understand their feelings without pressuring them to immediately answer. You can tell me if you need to think about it, that's fine. Like if you haven't decided yet, if, you're really, working through this, just not pressuring them to be like, okay, so what is it? Are we together or not? Like, what do you want from me? You know, it's really how you communicate that to your partner. And listen, pay attention to their perspectives and concerns and just be understanding and empathetic. So I think all of that is important
Yes.
when you have that
When you do
conversation.
have that conversation, like if I would have reframed it like into a yes or no, I would, I wouldn't have said, "Are we?" Right? Instead of I would have just said, "Let's be," or somewhere along those lines of, "Do you want to be exclusive?" Right? I wouldn't have got maybe not. I would have got. I think so, but how, not long. Um, that again. Uh, this is what we did. I mean, I did. I opened up a lot about what my feelings were and how I wanted to see things in the future. And one of the things that I got out, and again, she said, well, she said this along the lines, I'm not ready to be anybody's girlfriend. So we were just exclusive, but she wasn't ready to be anybody's girlfriend. So I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know what that means at this moment, but okay. I just
So first it was I think so, and then it was like I'm not
right.
ready to be anyone's girlfriend.
Yeah,
So
and funny after the fact, the next
where
relationship
was the location you chose to have this conversation at?
we were at a restaurant. I mean,
Was it loud, noisy?
no. It was just a quiet, like it was. I want to say like maybe like a tavern or something. It wasn't really like loud and boisterous. It was
Mhm.
just us having this conversation. We'd been
How
talking
awkward did you feel when she was saying that?
very awkward because I'm going. You think you want to be sure about yourself, and you're putting yourself out there, and you think you're confident, and then all of a sudden you get an answer like that that leaves you, I mean, in a place of going, okay, I don't know what this means exactly, but okay. I mean, I had to respect her feelings. I mean, I did all these things.
Did you say like what was your response? Did you say anything
So
or just say, "Okay, great."
no, no, def- definitely not. No.
Oh no. He just threw his mic on the floor.
I just got angry. No, no, no.
You
No,
did that in the restaurant too, huh?
right
With the
now,
plate.
yeah, I pushed it away. Get out of here. No. So after we had that sort of decision, I said, okay, I mean, I get it. Maybe she hadn't been to that point of where she needed healing. Right. And I was like, hey, I get it. If you're don't feel like want to rush into things. I was just asking as far as in terms of like how much time we spent together, um, to know that I'm not talking to any other women. You're not talking to any other men. Like if that is the case, I mean, if you're uncomfortable with it, I get it. I mean, that's just how things have to be when you're out dating. So I was okay with her response, but um,
So you asked her if she was seeing anyone else? Did you ask her that?
yeah. And then she was like, "Well, she told me no, that she wasn't." And
Mhm.
she asked me the same question. She's like, "Well, what about you?" And I said, "No, I'm not seeing anybody else."
Mhm.
Um, I just told myself at this point was like that things were just going to be. I guess I felt inside things were just going to be the same, except I just had maybe a feeling of like, okay, she's not talking to anybody. I'm not talking to anybody, so we can just focus on each other. That's what I at least felt about that after that conversation. But I was a bit confused, like as far as like I thought to myself, exclusive was kind of like thinking along the lines of, okay, we're going to move into maybe boyfriend girlfriend into a relationship somewhere along those lines. But there's different terminology in how it's expressed, so you got to know
There's
the
all
difference.
kinds of new words. Okay, so I thought exclusive meant you're not talking to anybody else. So she wasn't talking to anyone. You weren't talking to anyone, but she doesn't want to be exclusive. Or she just didn't want the label
She didn't want
girlfriend.
the label girlfriend, I guess. I got no
Mhm.
clue. But like I said, after the fact, her next relationship, found out she's like, I got a boyfriend. Okay. All right. It was this guy, I guess. I don't know. So but hey, that's her life. This was mine. I was like, I was ready to move on, and I have my person. That in the end, that's what matters. So yeah, it was kind of crazy to be in that moment and talk about it, and trying to process it all, because when dating someone, you do start to develop feelings, right? And you just want to know if it's okay to explore those even further. And when somebody says, well, let's just tap the brakes a little bit on it because I'm not sure, that means, well, we're still kind of a little bit at a standstill. So I don't know.
Yeah, especially if they don't want to share what it is that's causing them to feel that way. So there's definitely a lack of communication at that point. So it's really hard to continue a relationship like that when you don't understand each other and definitions and all of that. So you really have to be on the same page to move forward. Even in some of the dating relationships I got into before I met Gabe, there were guys that would ask me right away, point blank, "So are you talking to other guys?" So I was on the app. Of course, I'm talking to other guys. You're not the only. I mean, I just started a conversation with you. I'm going to talk to other guys until I decide who I want to meet up in person with, who I want to start, a possible relationship with. I'm not going to just like be exclusive on one conversation. So yeah, I had guys that said, "So, are you talking to other guys?" I'm like, "Yes." And so they'd say, "Never mind. I don't think it'll work between us." And so they wanted right off the bat on these dating apps, some of them wanted immediately to just be exclusive with whoever it was they were texting back and forth with. And I'm sorry, no, that's already like control and manipulation and a red flag for me. So I was like, fine, move on. It doesn't bother me. And then, I had another guy that we went on a date with, and I don't know if I was feeling it or not. Like we had talked on the phone and before the date, he asked me, "Well, are you going, am I the only date that you're going to go on, a date with? Are you going to date other people at the same time as me?" And, he was kind of trying to set up his little boundaries in the beginning. And I told him, I said, "Of course, I'm not going to just, if I'm talking to somebody on the phone, I don't just focus on one person. I like to talk to at least a couple different people at a time. And then, before I decide, and then we go on a date and then I decide to become exclusive. It takes a minute. I'm not going to just jump into something immediately." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm the type that only talks to one person at a time." And I said, "Well, that's good for you, but that's not for me." But he still wanted to meet me in person, and we did. Um, and then he wanted to move forward, and I was like, "Well, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if I feel it. Like we can talk a little bit more and see," because I wasn't sure what kind of person he'd end up being. And then he was like, "Okay, I can't do this. Yeah, like you want to talk to more than one person. I don't want that. So we just can't talk." And he deleted me and blocked me and wouldn't have any conversation with me anymore. I'm like, "That's fine." And those situations, they're kind of like those red flags. You have to both be on the same page and you have to respect the other person,
Yeah.
respect their timelines for things. Somebody might want to move a little slower and one person might want to move faster, but you have to respect each other's timelines for it to work.
Yeah, and just like Sarah's mentioning there, I'm glad you brought up respect their decision, even if it's not what you wanted to hear, right? Sometimes that's not what we
Mhm.
want to hear. We're thinking in our minds like, okay, I like this person. There may be something else to it as far as like how we connect. And then you realize like she said, you guys might be on different timelines, right? There were points that you felt something for this individual and you really thought you wanted to dive deeper into it, and sometimes that person on the other side's like, I'm not ready to let you into that part of my life. Like you have to communicate that, you have to let that be known.
Mhm.
Because I've had other conversations when I was dating with other women, and that was a big like wall between allowing somebody into their lives and not. So I told myself like I had to understand uh, what it is that a woman will and will not allow, and then how do I express myself enough to say, um, you know, I'm willing to like wait, or I'm willing to work to help you work past those boundaries until you feel comfortable with me. Because again, there again, the people, the healing, the trauma, um, you can work on it and you can heal and you can spend lots of time on it. You really can. And then you could be meeting somebody and then something just comes up that really like touches inside of you and you have to you start feeling old feelings again. Old feelings don't go away. It's just how you deal with them and how it pertains to your current situation. So that's where I was in my mindset. It's like, okay, I needed somebody who was healed enough and
Ready.
ready to move forward. Because I ran into this wall a lot. I found this out.
Yeah, he even met women who seemed like they were ready, but then he showed up on the date and what were they wearing on their finger?
A wedding ring. I saw.
Wedding
I met,
ring.
yes,
Wedding ring.
I met a woman, and she was very enthusiastic. Right? She's like, okay, we had we struck it up pretty quickly, chatting on one of these dating apps. I don't remember which one. It might have been Hinge. Anyway, we were sitting there talking, and she was like, so like, oh my god, you have such, you're very open, you're communicative, communicative. See, I can't even communicate.
Communicative.
Communicative. I keep forgetting one syllable. So, but you spoke very well. I threw that one. That's
I spoke very well.
I spoke. I'm just saying you spoke. She says you spoke very well. I'm kidding about that one. But she was, like telling me, I want to meet you, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's plan. She's like, tomorrow, and I'm like, tomorrow, okay. She's like, yeah, let's meet here. She told me where, kind of in the area of where she lived, and I said, okay, let's find somewhere in between. We both can meet there. We met, and we start talking, and everything seems
How
okay.
often or how soon did you notice that ring? Like
Oh,
immediately?
almost within the first 5 minutes we started talking.
Did you stare at it real hard and be like looking down at it the whole time, or did you say, "What's that?"
Well, I
Or did
said
you ignore it?
no, I didn't ignore it, but I said, so, like, what is your current situation? Because she's like, oh, well, I'm going through a divorce right now. And the first thing that thought in my head was like, well, why the fuck don't you take off the ring? Like, don't go out on a date if you have the ring on. That immediately told, at that moment, I kind of froze myself and said, okay, I'm here already. Um, Let me just enjoy the moments that while we're here and just have a conversation, because I know, like, she started to open up about all her situations and everything else, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Yeah. Right. I ran. I trust me, when we got done, like, this is what was crazy. We walked out to the parking lot, and trying to be gentlemanly, I said, let me walk you to your car at least, right? So I walk her to her car, and we're sitting there at the valet, and I was like, hey, thank you for a good time. It was cool to meet you. And I go in and just like give her a hug, and then she tries to go in for a kiss.
Still married,
Oh
trying to
my
kiss you.
God. Like, so I'm thinking to myself, like, I think she's just looking for a good time at this point. Like, she's either on the down low and on these dating apps, and like I just turned I turned my head a little bit, and she like pecked me on the cheek, and I was like, okay, I was like, wow, thank you. And that was it. I got in
No,
my car and I said, let me get the hell out of here. 'Cause-
no. When the guys try to kiss me, I take a step back. I'm like,
well, I went in, like, I didn't think for it because I just went in for a hug. I was like, okay, it's been cool enough. Let me give her a hug, goodbye, and this would be it. I didn't know we were gonna go in for, like, she was gonna come in for the smooch. Like, that caught me totally. I had never done that before, and I like I said, I turned my face instantly to like look, and
Was she like
yeah,
coming at you?
pretty much coming, like it's coming, like thinking, okay, I'm gonna get a kiss from this guy. Like, he's pretty good looking. I'm gonna get a kiss. Like,
Yes, you are.
and I said, no, no, I don't do things like that. Um, but yeah, that was that was one where I didn't know what to think. My head was spinning afterwards because I was like, man, you really have to. I thought to myself afterwards, you really have to talk to these women and get to know them, because you don't know what to expect when you go out there on any of these dates that you're meeting these individuals on. And of course, lo and behold, like, I started talking to Yvette the same time that I met this woman, and I was like, okay, thank God.
Yeah, there was no swerving when we got together. There was just like magnetic attraction.
Oh yeah, I didn't look. I didn't wait. I didn't wait. I knew. I went in there.
Like right away, I didn't expect it that fast. I thought like we'd sit down in the restaurant and maybe like it would happen at some point. I knew it was gonna happen, but we walked up to each other and I was like that woman did to him. That's what he was doing to me. And so we walked up to each other and bam, instant kiss. But I didn't
She
turn.
didn't
I
turn.
didn't swerve.
She didn't turn. That was a good sign, because like I turned. I was like, oh man, like, I didn't. Again, I didn't know this woman. That was the crazy part. Like, at least with her, at least with the vet, like, I knew her, and we had already spent like conversations talking, and hours upon hours texting and calling each other and FaceTiming. I mean, we knew already about each other before we got to that point. This woman was just the first time we'd ever talked, and Like, honestly, it was very close to being a blind date because it's like, hey, let's go meet. You see her picture and you don't know if that's what she's gonna look like, and you show up there and she's got a wedding ring on. Have the decency to leave it in the car. Get out, leave it in the car in the cup holder. You know, even if the valet guy steals it, what's it worth to you if you're getting divorced? I mean, come on, it doesn't
Yeah, I
symbolize
mean,
anything anymore. So she's
like
still wearing it.
Sarah said earlier, she kept hers on so people would leave her alone. Yeah, I'm sure sometimes I've worn rings on that finger to do that too. But when you're going on a date, like you, and then she didn't want him to leave her. She didn't want him to leave her alone because I mean she wanted that kiss. So why wear it? Yeah.
Yeah. And that again, maybe she thought might have been that might have been a ploy for some guys. Like, oh, she's
Yeah.
still married.
Hard to get.
Yeah.
Hard to get right there.
Like some guys go for that. I just wasn't one of them. I just said to myself, like, like I said, if we hadn't ordered drinks, like if we hadn't ordered a drink, and then we're already sitting down, I might have said, hey, can I go to the bathroom and just So I was like, at least I already opened a tab. I already ordered a drink. Let's go ahead and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, had a conversation. Again, I knew this woman for an hour and then we go in the parking lot and she wants to mug out. Like, come on. I don't know. What's the God?
At least it wasn't like what happened to my brother. So, not my brother I live with, another brother I have. Oh my God. He went out on a date. It was this first date he met on a dating app. Went on this date with this woman. And after the date was over, she's like, well, you want to come hang out at my apartment? And their conversation was good. So he was like, okay, we can hang out for a little bit. And he was, he'd never done that before and he didn't know what hang out means. And so he goes over to her apartment and he sits down on the couch and she's like, oh, hold on, I'll be right back. So she goes to the other room and she comes out butt ass naked. And so he looks at her and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I thought you wanted to hang out. And he's like, not like this. And so he jumps up. He's like, I gotta go. And so he took off out of there. He was like, no, I did not come over here to have sex with you. So yeah, there are some frisky women out there that's what they're looking for. So it's not just guys that like to do it, and a lot of women like to as well.
Yes, exactly, Sarah. She meant hang out with the wang out. That's what she was going for. And yes, for the innocents. So that was again, guys. Honestly, when you go out and you start meeting somebody and you want to move into the transition of making it exclusive, the whole point of it all is that you feel like this is the person to invest more time in. Like, honestly, like I felt like with Yvette, I wanted to spend as much possible. Even now, I still feel like I want to spend as much time as possible with her.
Yeah, he comes and sees me. He tries to at least twice a week. Sometimes things come up like it did today,
Okay.
but almost every week since we first got together, he has come to see me at least once a week, if not twice a week.
At lunch.
At lunch. And so it's not long. I only get 30 minutes, but we spend time talking. We discuss things like we just bond, and it's an extra moment in the middle of the day where we can bond even more. So we look forward to when we're together. We look forward to those little moments we can steal away during the day. When we have our time with our kids, and we look forward to the time we don't have the kids. So we enjoy all of our moments, all of them.
Gosh, that's true though. Jam out with. Well, that was probably more like it. That was probably more like it as far as in terms of what happened.
Sarah,
I was
tell John I am cracking up if he's
yeah.
watching.
But honestly, I
That's my friend Sarah, and then Gabe has a friend Sarah, so we have two Sarahs
yeah,
online now.
yes, double the Sarahs, double the fun. Apparently, uh, but
We will, Sarah. Both Sarahs
both
can
Sarahs,
come.
both Sarahs can come. Yes, but when as a guy, even going out into the dating world, the assumption that hey, we're just looking to score and get to the get into the next bedroom with the next woman isn't isn't the case, right? You really, when you really truly want to meet somebody and get to know them, right? You make sure you look and you go through all these things, right? You make sure it's worth the time and the effort. You prioritize them. The intimacy again. And I'm not talking about the intimacy what they think what we're discussing.
Yeah, not the clam intimacy.
Not the clam intimacy, but yes, just having intimate moments with somebody, right? These are the things you explore um, when you really care and feel like this is the person for you. So, like, again, when I went back and we were talking about looking at the signals, those are the signals, folks. Those are the things you'll look at, and if any of them don't align, damn sure sit down with that person and talk, like honest heart to heart talk, like open up in a way you maybe not have opened up before. And it's okay if you don't get the answer you want, the response you want. That just means this is your person. Like
Yeah.
I was glad I had those conversations. I was glad I was confused. I was glad for all of that because if I'm not here with this beautiful woman next to me. I'm not sitting here talking about relationships and love. I'm still out there searching. So I'm glad that I had to go through all of that. And that's what everybody, it's going to be a different process for each one of you. But doing this helps. Like it helps. Like it really does. Like if you're going to really spend the time and investing in love, these are the steps.
And learning more about love. So in this process, we're learning more about it together. We're growing our love together. You can't stop learning about love. Like some people just don't anymore, but you can, and it can get and grow stronger. And I liked what Dr. Constance, I had that
Oh yeah, that where it
message up
says
there. So she still has a lunch date with her husband after 20 years of marriage. So you,
that my folks deserves a round of applause. Like if you're doing that with your significant other after 20 years, that's love.
yeah.
That's the one you put the hashtag goals on that one because that is huge. I
Mhm.
want to be doing that too. I want to be still in those moments away, and I want to feel that way after 20 years.
Yes. And yes, thank you, Sarah. We do. And it's funny, a funny story about it. The first time we did, we were like, oh my gosh, like so in love. And we still are, but like we were looking at each other. And a lot of times we do, like we cuddle while we're talking outside. And I didn't think anybody was going to be watching us in the parking lot. Right.
Oh yeah.
So my students, after we went back inside, they're like, you won't believe this mess. And I'm like, what? They said there was a teacher that saw y'all in the parking lot and she ran down the hallway and told all the other teachers, and they ran together as a group to stare out the window at y'all. And they couldn't believe that y'all were making out in the parking lot. I was like, dang, like they are that into watching that they had to go do that, and then I just thought it was hilarious, and I was like, "We weren't making out the whole time, like, we had a good conversation, we kissed a few times, yeah, but we were like we were just close and we were talking because when we talk, we get really close to one another and we look into each other's eyes. And so they saw that and just automatically assumed we were doing that. So after that, we decided, you know what, we won't put on the show every time. So we started making like a walk out of it. So we walk down the street. We're able to stop students from skipping a lot of times because, they try to walk that way too. And then we walk around the corner and walk through a neighborhood. And then we go talk over there. And then we walk back up to the school. So we take like a little walk date. And then one of my other friends, her name's also Sarah. So my other friend Sarah, she goes to church with me. She saw us one time in our group meeting, and she was like, "I saw y'all, walking down the sidewalk in the middle of the day at Garland High School." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's our lunch date." So it was pretty funny that we got seen too walking by one of our
Yeah.
friends.
Oh, Rachel too. Hands
Yes, we have two Rachels.
Two Rachels. Randy, thank you so much. He said he wasn't coming. He said I had a date tonight. Whoa.
Oh, you had a date, Randy?
Yeah, but it was with
Nice.
8 coworkers.
Oh, man, and an insurance agent.
But it was a date. Thank you for that one. And yes, Sarah, that exchange has to feel like home, and it does. Like that's how I knew. I knew from that moment on. That's where I was supposed to be. And Sarah's
A very similar thing happened to John and I in the subway parking lot. So somebody saw y'all and said something.
yeah, said Stinky. But look, Dr. Constance, and honestly, that's the way to do it. We act foolish to this day. Like, if you have someone enough to spend that time with you and act as crazy as you do, dance in the rain like it's no end and you don't care.
Yeah,
That,
we kissed in the rain in a hailstorm.
right.
Yeah, that was funny. Like we had an umbrella and we were getting hailed on and we were just kissing in the rain. It was fun.
But that's the excitement, right? That's the thing. That's the electricity that you want to make it work. Like, so these are, again, I just like to make sure that people understand this is what waits on the other side if you decide to take these steps. Like, this is what you can see down. This is just proof down the road.
That love like this is
Oh,
real.
like people do this. People do love each other this way. People do spend each other this way.
Mhm.
It might
And
seem
that's
like the romance novel and the storybook stuff, but it's true. It's
it's
true to life.
true. And a lot of people don't that, they for whatever reason they've gone through this trauma themselves or just had really bad relationships or been given bad advice or they just think that these love stories are just in the movies. Like we have even talked about it like, wow, this is a real life love story. And so Dr. Constance, that's proof. My friend Sarah, that's proof. Sarah Harmon, she is in a loving relationship. Like I love their love. And so I told her, and her husband that we would love to have them on our show and just talk about, what it means to still be so much in love all these years later. Like they've been together how many years now? Has it been about 13, I think, or 14
Okay.
years?
But even like that,
That they've been together longer than that, but been married maybe 12, 13 years.
but that's funny. Look, like we have zombie night and game night. Yeah, do it.
That's
That's what
hilarious.
you do. That's love, folks. Honestly, that's love. And
Yeah.
but it starts right. This is why we've gone linear in the process of talking about love, how it gets started, what you do, the self love that you got to do first, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the self love you start with, the introspective journey in self, and then getting to the point of saying, okay, I feel like I'm healed. Taking the jump, right? And then you find the match, and it's like things work. You find a spark. You start talking. Then you come to the realization: is this the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life? Like you got to think in terms of that having that mindset. Does it always work that way? No. But you at least got to think and have yourself open enough, make your heart pliable enough to the idea of saying this could be the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. Like,
Yeah, you've got to eliminate those insecurities. And so a lot of people have them. We actually talked about it at church. And some of the ways that your insecurities can be lifted and leave you is your partner. When your partner compliments you, when your partner tells you all the things, and this is where open communication is so important, but when your partner is telling you like all these amazing things and complimenting you, that builds you up. It builds your self esteem and it lowers a lot of any type of insecurity that has been buried deep within your soul. And most people have them. I mean, not everybody has had a perfect, ideal life that they've never had issues or trauma in their past. Everybody's gone through something. And so when you have that partner just that lifts you up and does not criticize, we talked about a trauma bonding one, but they don't criticize, they uplift you, they compliment you, then that makes a better relationship as well.
yes. And man, I'm still blown away every single day that I get to spend time with her. And yeah, it feels like the first time every time as much as I pretty much can. And I don't know, maybe it does I mean, you still love each other and you still do things, but I kind of like, you know, I need a vacation from him too. Almost 21 years now with this crazy man putting up with my crazy. But that's love.
Yeah.
That's love. Honestly, that's love. And exactly, you know, and Sarah's like, my problem is the guys who want the experience. And once they get my energy, they ghost. And that's insane to me.
Yeah.
I tell people like all the time, it's you got to think of it like the magnets, right? two ends of the polar magnets, you turn them around, what happens? They stick. The bond is strong. You have to pull it together. You have to pull them apart for them to separate. You do it the other way around, they're the same, two of the same kind, north, positives, whatever you call them. They retract each other. So you haven't met somebody that can meet that energy, take that energy in, and know how to deal with it and use it. But it'll come. I mean, it'll come. It just takes
It will.
the time. And
It does, and it's all about timing. It's putting yourself out there, not wearing that wedding ring anymore, Sarah.
Don't wear-
Because
don't
if
wear
you're
the
wearing
ring.
that royal wedding ring, you never know who could have walked past you and saw that energy and was, attracted, but they saw that ring and they went the other direction. So when you're ready and somebody else is ready and the timing is right, it's like I just think it happens at that moment. And we've talked about it too. Like we're in our 40s, he's 49, I'm 45. And, sometimes we've thought like, oh, that would have been so cool if we met each other 20 years ago. But the timing wouldn't have been right. We wouldn't have been the same people. Maybe it would have worked and we could have grown together and everything would have been great, but we don't know that. But I do know that the things that I've gone through and what's helped me become the woman I am today is something that he was attracted to. And it was like, I remember being young going, God, why can't people see the good in me? Why can't people see these qualities that I have? And I remember thinking that in my 20s, like, I've got all this stuff. I mean, I'm this nice person and, I'm good at this and I'm a Christian. And I just like, there was this guy that I liked a lot and he was also a Christian. And I just thought for sure he was going to ask me out one day. And I was friends with him for over a year and he never asked me out. And I just kept thinking like,
The
you know,
energy.
why won't people like guys like me? I mean, I thought I was a good person. And so I would end up with the wrong person because I would settle. But finally, finally, I met somebody that, oh my gosh, like he loves everything about me. And I don't have to say, look at me, look at all my accomplishments. I don't do that because I know who I am. I don't have to like boast about anything I've done, but he loves all of those things without me ever talking about them, which I
Damn
think is
Skippy.
amazing.
Damn Skippy. That's right. And yes, Ken, I am almost a half a century old. I'm just the way I like to always say is I'm well seasoned. That's all. I'm just well seasoned,
Yes.
right? It's you have the best steak you've ever had. It's when it's well seasoned. That's me, baby. I'm the
Yes, you are.
like, so
And I'm right behind you, honey.
yes, I know that's right. Um, and that's okay. Look, this is what Sarah said. This we talked about that too. Hey, i- when you go into the just I'm doing me mode,
Hmm.
and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Consider again, that's what we talked about. Consider the individual needs, like what that
Hmm.
is. Different people have different timelines and exclusivity. Just respect the variation that somebody has in their lives and where they're at, and that's just how most relationships are going to have to work. It's not always going to align, and that's perfectly fine. Like if you have to step back into those moments, you have to step back into those moments and go, I got to work on me again. It's okay. Go back into the circle again. Work on you, girl. Get better, do better. Whatever it is, you need to find that little slice of clarity and inner peace, and then move forward from there. Like it took me, like we had to go through cycles. We went through 2 cycles. We went in, got in, went through it all, got back out, got back out. We weren't saying we were going to do it, and then we got back in again.
Hmm. We both did exactly the same thing.
Here we are.
June 2nd, that is 4 days before my birthday.
Oh, Kenneth.
Kenny, your birthday, mine's June 6th, so we are almost birthday twins.
Well, there you go. Do the math. That's okay. I don't want to do math. It makes me think too much, Kenny. I'll leave the mathematics and descriptive
66.
adjectives to you.
66.
Oh, 66. Okay, there you go. I'm hearing, and it's never over. Someone tells you it is. It's never not. No, that's true. It's not. Like you got to figure that out. Oh, look at this. All
Who?
June babies.
June 21st. Yeah, I have a sister that's June 18th.
June 6th. Look, y'all.
And my daughter's baby is due on my birthday, June 6th.
So yeah, a whole bunch of June babies around here. June people.
Mhm.
I'm a Libra, so I got problems. There you go.
See, that is correct.
So okay, thank
I
you,
was
Kim.
pretty good at math.
You're pretty good at math. I'm not. I figured I got enough math in high school that I didn't need. And Randy saying this old boy is crib bound. Oh no.
Yes, we are June bugs.
Yes, exactly. So you want to start just
Our reminders. Or
uh
remember. Okay.
okay.
Go in.
So yeah.
Just basically like everything that we've talked about have been basic guidelines. They're not rigid rules about, what to do, but they are guidelines on what could take place if you are willing to go down that path towards exclusivity. So everyone's journey is unique. Don't rush the process to be exclusive if you are not ready. Allow time for natural progression, and emotional readiness is so important.
Yeah.
Embrace vulnerability, honesty, and open communication are crucial to building trust and intimacy.
That's right. And then, of course, like we talked about, set those healthy boundaries, discuss expectations around communication, physical intimacy, and social interactions. Like you have, again, you have to express these things so the other person knows. You have to be clear. I'm going to tell you, guys are when things get convoluted, we don't sort very well, like understanding. So the more clear and more direct that you are with us, and this is, I mean, I don't like to speak in generalities, but I've seen this so much that I feel confident enough to say, like, you have to be super direct. Like, we can't figure out the zigzags.
Like, what did that woman say? I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Like, what the?
No, you gotta be direct with your
Yeah. So she would have
answers.
been like, no. I would have been like, thumbs up. Okay, I know where I stand.
She wanted to keep you hanging for a little bit.
With I think so, I was like,
She liked them free drinks.
just think something. Maybe that's what it was.
I think so. Can I have another drink now?
Yeah, please. Can you pay the tab? I don't know.
Yeah. And then consider individual needs. Different people have different timelines. Like I mentioned earlier, for exclusivity, respect that variation. Focus on the quality of finding that person versus quantity of how many people you can be with. Deep connections and shared values matter more than relationship labels. So if somebody's like not, sure about the relationship label, like at least you're sharing your values and your connection. Remember, exclusivity is a significant step in a relationship and deserves careful consideration. When you prioritize, self reflect, have open communication, mutual respect, you can navigate the transition smoothly and make the best decision for you and your partner.
Yes. I made a boo boo baby.
What'd you do?
I didn't I I didn't put that, like, I was supposed to put that in the closing statements, and like
Oh, you put it
I've done it
somewhere
twice.
else.
Yeah.
It's in there twice?
Yeah. Look
Okay.
at the closing statement. What does it say?
Oh, okay. So I just
I
read
don't
your
know,
part.
I'm gonna read yours.
Okay.
So ultimately, our happiness and connection matters most. Whether we decide to be exclusive now or continue exploring things as is, I know I know that you will grow and learn through this journey together. So that's just part of it, man. You got to understand that, things aren't going, maybe again, the timelines and understanding things might not be this way right now. And if that person has communicated to you, look, I might not be ready in the moment right now, but maybe down the road I will be. Like you have to make that clear so that the other person isn't left hanging and trying to figure out what, you know, where you stand, where things are. So I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think that is fine, Sarah. That's you. I wouldn't change that, but I'm sure a part of it is when they're not being coming with how they feel, you got to know, like, where do you stand? And so if you do that or you say that, sometimes maybe it's not, somebody's not ready to maybe take the step. I don't know. But it's fine. I mean, if that's who you are, I wouldn't say that you're not a woman because of it. And that's kind of a rude thing that they would say.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Guys, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
we're the worst. I always call ourselves. This is just me. You can dogpile me, guys, if you want to say we're just always coming from the lowest common denominator. I will talk about mathematics because I do say that, because we just don't make sense sometimes. So there you go. Man, this has been a wonderful conversation, baby. I love this. Confess. Confuses me. Not
And
me.
it confuses men, not
Oh,
me.
not me, Jesus. There you go. Absolutely.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
We do.
Yes,
We
that's
are.
why I love doing this with you too, because it is. We're a
Yeah,
team
we're a
and we
team.
work really good together.
Yeah, we're working. I mean, we're getting better too.
Yeah,
How we're flowing, everything else. It's fun.
exactly.
It
It
is fun.
is. Because like that was one of my like kind of thoughts I had when I was younger. I used to listen to radio stations so much. I mean, who didn't when we're as old as we are and we didn't have, all of the
Podcasts and everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
Palm
wasn't
Bear.
around. So we listened to radio stations. But I remember thinking, I wonder what it takes to be, someone on the radio, like to be a talk show host or DJ or something. I was like, I think I could do that. I could talk and, be on there. And I remember that was one of the thoughts I had. I never went into it, but I kind of thought that when I was younger.
But now here we are.
I
We are like
know.
doing
Now
our
we're
own.
doing our own thing. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. So, all right, girls,
Guys
guys, everybody,
and girls.
guys and girls. Um, Tuesday we will be back, and I think this is going to be a really great show.
Mhm.
We're going to be talking about. This is where we start getting into some of the nitty gritty, right? You start getting into. So we're going to start. When do you start to explore intimacy?
Yes. When
So
do you
start
start to
exploring. You've
explore?
decided, like, hey, we're going to be exclusive. Things have been great. Like, I like you, you like me. We're not going to talk to other people. We're boyfriend and girlfriend now. So now, where does that lead in the relationship? And when do you start to explore the idea of intimacy with your partner? So we're going to get in that Tuesday. That's going to be fun. Wednesday, we are doing a special Valentine's Day show because it is
Yes.
Valentine's Day and we talk about love, and that's our thing. That's going to be our first couples interview too. We're going to be interviewing Jeremy and Christy Torrisk. That's going to be awesome. We're kind of excited to do this, and we're going to be bringing on more couples here in the following weeks, just to have conversations to talk about couples who are doing what we do now, where we create content, we're talking, we're sharing our passions, and we're going to do that and talk about that with other individuals that kind of align with not only love, but then marriage, relationships, and then what their specialties are, whether it's in finance, whether it's in content creation, or whether it's like in entrepreneurship or coaching. We're just going to bring these people on because it's so great to see people sharing their passions so well and doing it with the person they love. I'm learning this right now that it's like a wonderful experience. So just me being out of curiosity, want to pick their minds, because I'm like, you guys have been doing it too. Like, what are you going through? Just to find out the things, like, maybe I haven't had the insight yet because I haven't been doing it as long. So we're gonna do that and have those conversations, and we will be having other guests on going forward here in the next coming weeks. So stay tuned, buckle down, because it's gonna be fun. This is gonna be
And
awesome.
you'll also be sharing our very first Valentine's Day
Stay together,
together.
yes.
It'll be our first Valentine's Day and we'll be live. You'll get to see how we treat each other on Valentine's. Is it different? Is it the same? Is it better? Like,
That's right.
we'll find out on
I-
Valentine's Day.
Yes. But this woman is awesome. I love her. Look at this. Look, she did cool designs. Look for our scripts, our
Yeah.
program. Like, look at this. She's so crafty. freaking
It's
crazy.
a sticker. So I made stickers and put it on the back.
We're gonna create our own line of stickers and stuff for people to give out. We saw other people doing this. We think it's fun, so we'll try some of these things as well. But yeah, that's Tuesday. We're gonna be talking about intimacy. So if you're wondering about how to handle things in a relationship when you move into the boudoir, as they say, we'll discuss and start opening that topic, and then we'll dig into it a little bit as we move forward with the shows and everything else. So again, it's been awesome, guys.
You're welcome, Sarah. We've been enjoying it tremendously. Like,
Yes.
yeah, after the show, we're just like, oh my gosh. And we just kind of talk about it a little bit. And yeah, it's fun after the show, too.
Oh yeah, well, and next week, not this weekend, next weekend, we've started what we call our show Love Talk. So that's a
Oh,
little bit.
yeah. Love
Love
Talk.
Talk is
Love Talk was fun.
Love Talk is a little bit more loose, so little some information, but a little bit more
Yeah.
openness about dating advice, tips, situations, support that people might
Yeah.
need. I mean, it was really great.
And we'll do it a little later in the night, too.
Yeah, so it's adult. It's not safe for work. So when you see that NSFW, that's what that means. It's not safe for work. Shouldn't be sharing that. That's why it's after hours. But tune in. It's gonna be fun. It's been a great ride up to this point so far, and I look forward down the road. So
Yes, absolutely. And then
it's time.
time for me to say that.
Yeah, it's time.
Okay.
We'll say it together. So
Let's say it together. Okay.
Yo,
You ready?
1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
May your life be filled with laughter, sparks, and genuine connections. And remember, love is a beautiful journey. So keep unwrapping it with open hearts and open minds.
That's right, guys. And don't forget to subscribe and tune in to the next show as we unwrap another layer of love on the Unwrap Love Show. So, you got any final words, baby? Think
Yes.
anything? Okay, you do? Tell me what
Yeah,
you're thinking.
I got one.
What's final words?
Okay. I love you.
I love you too, baby. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. We will see you next week, Tuesday. Tune in. And if you're so inclined, next Wednesday as well, tune in. We'll have our Valentine's Day special. We're going to go all out for love on that one. So
yeah, we got to decorate the house.
Got to decorate the house and everything. So
everywhere.
there you go. All right, guys. We'll talk to you again very, very soon. Good night. Sleep well. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good night, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.